Hey, my name is Joe, and welcome to the Kentucky Atheist. As a former young earth creationist born and raised in rural Bible Belt, Kentucky, I try to provide my humble perspective on the claims of creationists and other theists. If you like the video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and click the bell to be notified so you can join us for the Grateful to Know God's broadcast every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So today I'm going to tell you about what I see as the top 10 stupid arguments commonly made by creationists with help from several other talented creators. All of their channels are linked in the description, and they would love to have you subscribe to their channels for more great content on theism and other stuff as well. If you have other claims that you think should be on the list that were not, please leave me a comment below and let me know, and maybe we can do a part 2 of this video. And with that, let's get into it. Hopefully today's list sends a message to creationists that it's not just me, but many other atheists see how silly some of your arguments are, and we encourage you to do better. At this point, creationism apologetics has devolved into this absurd argument and dishonesty through quote mining and attacks on atheists and reality itself. Science denial is a serious problem with creationists, and their channels have been made to encourage others to just repeat lies and falsehoods that are the basis for creationism. This will be the first of many videos demonstrating how awful the creationist position is. Now for the list. Starting with number 10, stupid claim that creationists make, I have Dave from Captive Desk here to address the mysterious ways in which the Christian God works. Thanks, Dave. Take it away.
Hey, Joe. I was looking at your list, and number 10 is really dumb. Like, really dumb. God works in mysterious ways is the perfect catch-all excuse for every horrific thing in the Bible that doesn't make sense. You know, like mass genocide, the whole let's enslave a bunch of people for 400 years thing, or treating women as property. Just slap a God's mysterious ways sticker on it, and boom. Everything's justified. It's like the cosmic version of, well, it's not really bad. We just can't understand it. Sure, that totally clears everything up. Let's talk about the genocide. You know, when God told people to wipe out entire populations, including women and children. Yeah, that's just part of God's mysterious ways. Because nothing says divine wisdom like a little mass slaughter in the name of a bigger purpose, right? And while we're at it, the whole idea of women being treated as property, or the countless times they were tossed aside like objects with no rights. Yep, that's just another chapter in the great mystery of God's mysterious ways. Who are we to question the genius of making sure women were subjugated for thousands of years? So clearly, it was all for a higher purpose. Oh, and we can't forget slavery. The Bible's got a real soft spot for that one. The good old days when God didn't see a problem with people being owned by other people, because obviously that was just part of God's mysterious ways for humanity's growth. Forget about freedom or equality. Clearly, the only way to build a strong, morally sound society is by letting people own other people. And when all this chaos happens, no big deal. Just call it God's mysterious ways and move on. God's still got it under control. So yeah, next time something awful happens, just throw out the God works in mysterious ways line. It's the ultimate dumb excuse for a whole bunch of atrocities that don't make sense. Genocide, slavery, women as property, just slap the God's mysterious ways label on it, and we're all good. It's not about accountability or understanding. It's about pretending that the divine plan is so beyond us that we shouldn't even try to make sense of it. Genius, really. And really dumb.
All right, thanks, Dave. I couldn't have said it any better myself, actually. God works in mysterious ways, one of the silly things that they say. But moving on down the list to number 9, we've got the Bible contains no contradictions. And this is quite laughable. There's lots of websites out there and different organizations where you can go to and see the many hundreds of contradictions and problematic verses in the Bible. So when creationists say this, my first thing is always to kind of laugh in their face a little bit about it. But, it's something that we hear often. Let's move on to number 8, though. It's a little more interesting. We've got Mark Reid here to explain objective morality. Go ahead, Mark.
Objective morality, or moral realism, is a claim often made by theists asserting that morality is provided by a divine source and not based on anyone or any groups of people's personal stance or perspective. Although they do not have a direct access to this alleged objective morality, they claim access to this moral system is through some sort of divinely inspired text or documents. The main problem is one of evidence for the claim, as none of the followers of the religion can actually demonstrate that their moral system is in fact objective and divinely written or inspired, and they cannot demonstrate that the morality is not just written by adherents of the religion. This really does make the assertion that morality comes from God a baseless claim that seems to be a product of dogmatic belief. Generally, these texts will have stories, lessons, or moral judgments which are in conflict with modern society's ethical judgments. This conflict often leads the religion to reinterpret or update their understanding of the text to fit in with modern sensibilities, while ignoring older moral pronouncements that society deems unacceptable. An objection raised with morality coming from a god is something called the Euthyphro dilemma. This dilemma asks the question, does the objective morality theists claim come from what a god decides it to be, or does this morality come from some other source? If morality comes from simply what a god declares it to be, then the morality is not objective, and rather is dependent on a stance or perspective, making it subjective. God may enforce this subjective morality with omnipotence, but then it is a might makes right moral system. If morality originates somewhere other than God's will, then theists would have to point to where a moral law does come from, which may or may not be objective. Apologists in the past have appealed to saying that morality comes from God's nature. However, the problem there is all of the reprehensible acts the deity performed in their various texts would be in a God's nature and therefore permissible. Another problem is that there's not just one claimed objective morality. There are multiple religions, all claiming to have the one true system of moral facts for humanity to follow. If there was objective morality, then we would expect all claimants to these moral facts to agree, but ideas vastly differ on how people ought to live and what is right and wrong. At the same time, none of them can demonstrate that their moral system actually comes from a divine source. So this generally leads to infighting over whose claimed objective morality is the true and correct moral source. Even worse is that people that are in the same religion still disagree on what is moral and immoral, with disagreements between denominations on how one ought to live to meet these moral obligations. Moral anti-realists or moral subjectivists instead generally focus on creating practical ethical structures that facilitate and preserve a cohesive, egalitarian society, rather than focusing on upholding multiple claimed objective moralities that tear society apart.
I think Mark Reid is probably the closest thing to a god existing, honestly. Mark Reid is so awesome. Thanks, Mark, for doing that. And again, everybody's links and stuff will be in the description down below, so check that out. Moving right along, though, number 7 is soft tissue in dinosaur fossils. And this is something that's been going on for a number of years with creationists. And just a little background before I let Jess explain the citations that refute this. This is a misrepresentation of some work done by Mary Schweitzer a number of years ago, and creationists have been saying this over and over in the face of all these citations up to the contrary that come from Mary Schweitzer herself. And here's Jess explaining some of those.
Soft tissue in dinosaur bones prove that dinosaurs are not millions of years old. The reports of the soft tissue, though remarkable, have been sensationalized further. The tissues were not soft and pliable originally. The tissues were rehydrated in the process of removing the surrounding mineral components of the bone, Schweitzer et al., 2005. Moreover, it is unknown whether the soft tissues are original tissues. Fossil flexible tissues and nucleated cells have been found before in which the original material was not preserved. Stockstad, 2005. The age of fossils is not determined by how well they are preserved, because preservation depends far more on factors other than age. The age of this particular bone was determined from the age of the rocks it was found in, namely the Hell Creek Formation. This formation has been reliably dated by several independent methods. Dalrymple, 2000. DNA has never been recovered from any dinosaurs, nor from anything as old as them, and researchers do not expect to find DNA from these soft tissues, though they can still hope. DNA has been recovered, however, from samples much more than 10,000 years old. Poinar et al., 1998. Even more than 300,000 years old, Stockstad, 2003, Willerslev et al., 2003. If dinosaur fossils were as young as creationists claim, finding soft tissues in them would not be news, and recovering DNA from them should be easy enough that it should have been done by now.
All right, awesome, Jess. Thank you so much. It's always interesting when you have someone use a source and their source disagrees with the position they're taking. Such a weird thing that we come across, and why it made the list of one of the stupid arguments. Moving right along, though, next up we got number 6, atheists have faith in science. And this is something that gets said often in conjunction with number 5, which we'll get to in a moment. But atheists have faith in science. Here's Austin Sims, the Hoven Slayer himself, to break this down for you.
Hello there, Joe's audience. My name's Austin Sims. I'm a college biology student. I've studied science in college for several years. I started off studying physics and switched to biology recently when I returned to gain some more credentials and increase my knowledge. So I started this YouTube channel and befriended a lot of atheists and a lot of people who are interested in biology, and Joe's one of them. So Joe reached out to me and asked me to respond to a common creationist talking point. And that common argument is that evolution is based on faith. Evolutionary science is faith-based, just like religion. So they're on equal ground, basically, in terms of epistemological value. So this is something I could actually talk about for quite some time. It's really getting deep into one of the actual germane focuses of philosophy, which is knowledge. That specific school of philosophy, the study of knowledge, being epistemology. And you could easily talk about epistemology for hours and hours, and I don't want to waste your time like that. So I'm going to give you the quick and easy Cliff Notes version answer, which is that this argument is just categorically wrong. Evolution is not based on faith. Evolution is based on all natural observations, all facts and data, all tests, experiments, and studies that generate reproducible results, all of the highest quality and most thoroughly reviewed rational methodological scientific inquiry as meticulously and repeatedly assembled and vetted by all the greatest minds humanity has to offer. Evolution is based on empirical evidence. It's based on scientific evidence, an ungodly amount of scientific evidence from over 50 different disciplines of science, from astrophysics to zoology. And evidence and faith are categorically different. Evidence is defined as the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. Faith is complete trust or confidence in someone and something, or the strong belief in God or in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. Evolution is based exclusively on physical proof, on substantive proof, proof in the way of gene sequence homogeneity, analogous morphologies in fossil evidence, in an enormous array of evidence from dozens of scientific disciplines, physics, biology, virology, even volcanology has evidence to support evolution, surprisingly. So, to say that evidence is based on faith is just completely wrong. It is based on evidence, and evidence and faith could not be more different. So, that's the nice, short, easy version. I think I might even go ahead and make a nice long version for this video if you guys want to come check it out on my channel. You can find me at youtube.com/@creationism or if you just go search up Austin Sims and scroll down until you see a gorilla in a gi. That's me. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Austin. And again, Austin's channel will be linked below in the description. And definitely go check out whatever he makes on that. I'm sure it'll be excellent stuff. Austin always does a great job and a thorough job of explaining stuff. Moving right along, though, we've got number 5. Evolution is your religion. And I know this kind of sounds similar to number 4, but it's different things that are said. This is something commonly said by Kent Hovind, a resident imposter doctor. And to explain this, I've got Ian Chen here, and Ian breaks this down expertly, and go for it, Ian.
Hello everyone, my name is Ian, and today I'd like to talk about one of the most stupider of the young earth creationist kitbag of stupid arguments and popularized by convicted felon Kent Hovind, and that argument is evolution is a religion. But first, let's define the word religion. Here I turn to the Oxford English Dictionary, which is widely accepted as the most complete record of the English language ever assembled and considered the most trusted English dictionary in the world. The Oxford English Dictionary defines religion as the belief in and or worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. So, is evolution a religion? So let's break this down. What is evolution's god? I know creationists like domestic spousal abuser Kent Hovind will glibly say that this is time. Alright then, how do we worship time? And if I worship it well and adequately, will I go to heaven? What's our afterlife? Can creationists show me how and where I worship time? Is it some sort of church? Do I do it praying in a certain direction? And can they tell me what my reward is if I worship time properly? I mean, the whole thing is stupid. If time is our God, and if we worship time, and if evolution is religion, what is the benefit that we get? Do we have an afterlife? So clearly, evolution is not a religion. However, 3 things comes to mind whenever a creationist says evolution is a religion. Firstly, when creationists say evolution is a religion, the way they seem to say it suggests that religion is a bad thing. Have you ever noticed that? Don't they realize that they've just thrown shit on their own religion and beliefs by trying to compare evolution as a religion and indicating that religion is a bad thing. Secondly, creationists want to portray evolution as requiring faith because they don't understand the vast amounts of facts and evidence supporting it. Their ignorance aside, this is them explicitly admitting that they themselves have no evidence that proves the young earth or any evidence that any of their gods or God exists. They're trying to put evolution in parity to their belief by suggesting that there is no evidence for evolution because they themselves know there is no evidence for their religion. And thirdly and lastly, and this I think is the best point of all, is if creationists want evolution and religion to be on an even level playing field, okay, let's entertain that idea for now. Will creationists support anyone who accepts evolution to be exempt from paying taxes? Or support that their religion start to pay taxes? You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you think evolution and creationism and religion are the same thing, then you must give us a level playing field and support here. At the end of the day, evolution is established science accepted by the vast majority of scientists in the world. Young Earth creationism is a rapidly dwindling pseudoscience belief, and outside of YouTube, no one knows or cares about what they believe in.
Thanks, Ian. Great job. I love that explanation. Ian is a good friend of the channel and has a lot of experience talking about these issues. Go check him out. I think there's actually a recording of him and I having a discussion on his channel. So moving right along, though, number 4 is the watchmaker argument. And the watchmaker argument is one of these things that I encountered very early on talking to creationists. And it's not as common with so many of them now. But I've heard this from the likes of Frank Turek and Kent Hovind and lots of people in different forms. But here to break it down for you, I've got Zac from TheShakenFist. Hey, Zac, go for it.
Hi, everyone on Joe's channel. You know, I gotta talk about the watchmaker argument. Isn't this fun?
And there was much rejoicing.
Isn't it fun to talk about the stupid things creationists say? It's just the best things, isn't it? Of course it is. Thank you, Joe, for the opportunity to talk about these dumb fucks. It's always nice to talk about dumb fucks. Yay. Anyway. I bet you all love the watchmaker argument as much as I do. Because it's the stupidest fucking thing ever, right? So, of course, let me give a brief explanation. So the watchmaker argument was created by William Paley in the 1800s to try and combat the ideas of evolution. Because if you look at a watch, do you not see that this watch is intricately made? And because it's intricately made, it must be designed, and if it has a design, it must have a maker. Got you! Evolutionist, atheist, whatever. Got you! Have you seen my watch?
The digital sports watch is here! What the hell? Dude, that's not a digital sports watch. Hey!
Because, you know, you're supposed to, like, look at the eye and go, look how intricate the eye is. It's so designed. You know, just like the watch. And, like, you know, that can be extrapolated to... Have you seen a rock? Have you seen a bird or a stoat or a grasshopper or an albatross? Do you know, they were all created too, just like the humble watch.
Here's your sports watch, son. Sorry for the mix-up.
And, you know, you could stumble upon this watch and, you know, you wouldn't know what a watch was. And you could still know it was created. So why can't you about everything else, you lowly, inconsiderate cur who wishes to speak against God's glory and luster? You know, it doesn't matter that, like, irreducible complexity is kind of stupid because they didn't evolve one at a time. Or, like, you know, all this different... Or, like, the fact that, yes, we can look at things and go, oh, look, I exist. I was made by my mother and father when my father took his penis and he waggled around in my mother a little bit, maybe repeatedly. I don't know what he's like in bed. You know, and then some semen came out, and then the semen fertilized the egg, and then the DNA... The half of the DNA in the sperm and the half of the DNA in the egg recombinated to become me! You know, and it happened for every living thing. And we know this because tests, and we figured it out, it's science! But, see, the thing is, you're supposed to be abashed because it's a simple, easy, intuitive answer for hard, non-intuitive questions. Because, you're supposed to just accept this pithy, oh, well, you've seen a watch, haven't you? If you saw a watch and you didn't know what it was, you'd know it was designed. Why can't you say that about something that's much more complex? Like the retina, and, the lens, and the cornea, and all the parts of the eye, the synovial fluids in the joints. Not the eye. If you had synovial fluid in your eye, you'd be fucked. So, it's a fundamentalist thing that's supposed to talk about how evolution can't be because it was all made thusly. And this is, of course, before the fundamentalists started saying, of course evolution's true, it's just not, macro evolution, it's micro evolution, and that's what's important, right? So, we can still use that argument even though it's against the thing that we're now saying is correct, which is cool, and it shows you exactly how duplicitous these fucks are, and how much they don't actually care about truth, the veracity of the claims, or anything like that. All they care about is convincing you so you fill their coffers. And they feel slightly better because they fulfilled the zealotous duties. Isn't that fun? You're just a number. Like the numbers on a watch. Ah! Great days. Because, all they care about is the simple answer to the hard question, so they can just say it quickly. So, when a person like you or me has to explain why Paley's watch is dumb, and how evolution works, and how DNA recombinates, and all this different shit, then it takes 20 years because science is a thorough investigation of how things work. And when we come up with answers, those answers tend to have thoroughly investigated answers that have caveats and explanations to this and this. You got to explain a little bit of this to make this bit work. It's all a building process of information, of things being put together from things that we found, and going, this is how it all works.
I am the Weaver.
And because our explanations take longer, because we know more about the fucking subject, on the whole, of course, there's idiots on our side as well, and very smart people on their side. But, on the whole, we have to know more, because we don't get to rely on these little pithy answers, like, have you seen a watch?
Doesn't sound like divine planning to me. Sounds more like human planning. Sounds more like one group trying to control another group.
Thanks, Zach. Of all the things I didn't expect to hear in the watchmaker argument, Zach's father penis waggling in his mother was one of them, I think. I couldn't have expected that. And Zach's always good for the unexpected. Go check him out at TheShakenFist, a woefully under-subscribed channel. But let's go on to the next one. We've got number 3. Which is a favorite of mine. Atheists believe that everything came from nothing. This is said repeatedly over and over. This is probably the most common thing I hear them say. Not the most stupid, but the most common thing I hear them say. And here to break this one down for you, I've got Ember. Take it away, Ember.
Atheists think that everything came from nothing.
That's laughably not true. For one thing, nothing cannot exist in any meaningful way. Even if there was a nothing, as soon as it was lack of there, then that itself is a something. So to suggest all that is came from something that can't, that's an incoherent concept. Some people might be inclined to assume nothing means empty space, but that isn't nothing. It's full of space. There is no part of this universe, no matter how small you care to measure, that isn't churning with crisscrossing electromagnetic waves, virtual particles popping into and out of existence, gravitational effects. There's a lot going on. So, very much not nothing. If you somehow could make a nothing, we can't begin to say what it might do. If you really want to go down that extreme hypothetical, as far as we can tell, it might spontaneously decay into somethingness, maybe even a universe. More importantly, atheists can believe anything about the universe because that's not part of what atheism entails. Atheism is, say it with me, just not having a God. There are flat earth atheists. There are anti-trans atheists. There are 9/11 truther atheists. Every crazy thing people can believe in, there are atheists who believe that. We don't have a doctrine on anything, certainly not the origin of the universe. If you want to know what science says about the origin of the universe, we can talk about that if you like. That's related to my main specialty. But remember this, most of the people doing the science today are Christian, at least in the English-speaking world. So I really have to wonder why you believers don't trust your fellow faithful. The statement is silly for another reason, though. It's also projecting. For Christians who believe God really did poof the universe into being, everything coming from nothing is what they think happened. That they accuse us of such a ridiculous notion reveals they are aware their own beliefs are foolish. Remember, the alternative the theist is hoping you'll accept if they make science sound crazy enough includes talking snakes, magic fruit, and an undead carpenter ghost who wants to live inside you. It's hard to out-crazy that grab bag of gobbledygook. This talk of origins does in turn inspire a question, however. Where did their God come from? And whatever your answer, whatever it is, the universe can do that too. So we're left with Laplace's statement. We have no need for the extraneous hypothesis of a miraculous creator.
All right, thank you, Ember. Ember is one of my most long-standing friends that I made in the atheist community and makes great content over on Better Than Ember, so please go check Ember out. She's wonderful. Let's go on to number 2, though. Number 2, evolution cannot account for the origin of life. And here to talk about this one, I have myself. So this is one of those things that gets brought up, and I'm not sure if they don't know what they're talking about or if it's just if they're purposely conflating it and being dishonest. It's hard to really tell. But evolution doesn't speak to the origins of life. Evolution describes the diversity of life once life was established and how it evolved into the diversity we see today. Origins of life sciences would be the field that talks about this, and they have several plausible hypotheses for how this may have happened. The fact that they don't recreate life every day in the lab is irrelevant to the study of this. Scientists have made a lot of advances in abiogenesis, which is the leading theory for this, and we expect in the future for them to confirm this in a number of ways. But the hypothesis for abiogenesis works. There's not anything that contradicts it or prevents it, and there's a lot of evidence that suggests that it may have happened in any number of ways. And just another silly thing that they bring to the table, and I thought I would cover that one. So thank you, Joe. That was wonderful. Moving on to number 1, and number 1 is atheists don't exist. And I've heard this since the very beginning of my YouTube adventure, and it's one of the silliest, stupidest things that creationists say. And the person I have to describe this is Deconverted Man. Now, he sent me a number of clips here, so the continuity may be a little messed up, but I wanted to show all these because it's just too good not to. Go ahead, Deconverted Man.
Number 1. There's no such thing as atheists. We all know that there is a God. I'm gonna tell you a secret. There's no such thing as atheists. I know. This whole time I thought there was, but there isn't. Atheists just don't exist because secretly we all just believe in God. Deconverted Man. Oh, am I kidding? I never deconverted because I'm not an atheist. There's no such thing as atheists. It's all just made up. We all secretly believe in God deep down in our hearts, but we suppress it in our unrighteousness. But that means we're not aware that we're suppressing it in our unrighteousness, so we're not aware that we're repressing God deep down. So we don't know that there's a God, but we do know that there's a God somehow. It all makes sense. There's no such thing as atheists, don't you know? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa,
I can't help but laugh at that. Deconverted Man, thank you so much for the very creative and wonderful input on that. Great job. And you can check out Deconverted Man on his channel in the description below. Now, that's my list of the top 10, but I wanted to add an honorable mention into this. And the honorable mention has to be free will, because, you know, God commands it, right? The idea of free will in the Bible the Bible's riddled with examples where God takes away people's free will by helping armies win battle and stopping them from doing certain things, commanding that they go murder other tribes. God takes away people's free will constantly in the Bible. It has many, many examples of it. And so I just wanted to add this in as an honorable mention. There's of course, a greater, more nuanced conversation to have about free will, but not in the Bible, because the Bible is a perfect example of not free will, in my opinion. But anyway, I want to thank all the creators who added to this and helped me make this possible. Great job, everybody that contributed, and please go check out their channels and subscribe and watch some of their content. The people that I featured in this video are all great friends of the channel and make wonderful content and do wonderful things for the atheist community at large. So with that, though, that's all I got for you today. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. And thank you to all my Patreon members and my channel members that support the channel. I couldn't do it without you. Stay tuned for more stupid creationist things in the future, though. Thanks. Later, guys.